The countdown has begun. That means it is just a little more than 2 minutes before the show starts. Grab your cocktails and let's get ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, the timer has ended. That means it is time to start our show. Got a little scratch in my throat here, guys. Sorry about that. We got our first guy in here. John Jacobs, my man. 534 Fahrenheit. Yeah, we are at 534. And I think you are referring, of course, to the number of subs that we have. We are at 534, and as I have said in the past, and I will repeat today, we are at. Let me pull up my text here. We get 550 subscribers. Whiskey giveaway at 550. That's what we do. That's who we are. That's what we do. That is where we're going from here. I have a little text thing I'm trying to get up on the screen here. And then we have another, it's like a browser thing that we've got. Guys, I am the Old Humble Guy. Cheers and salutations. It is my joy and pleasure to be here with y'all. There it is, right above my head. Cut, boop, there it is. We are at 534. We get 550. We're giving away a bottle of whiskey. What bottle of whiskey? Probably, let's see here. That one? The green one, yeah. This one. We're going to give away this bottle of whiskey. Well, not this particular bottle of whiskey, but one just like it. So we hit 550. We give away a bottle of our Double Oak Rye. I am the Old Humble Guy. This is our whiskey happy hour. I have just poured myself a drink, and we are going to chat. Tomorrow night we have another whiskey happy hour coming up. It is we're actually doing the math that I talked about last week. Tomorrow night we're talking. Last week I talked about the origins of flat Earth theory and why we know the Earth is not flat. and I just kind of hand waved past the math that says this is how we know the Earth is round. We've done these things. We know, we don't have to go into space and walk around. We know this stuff, geometry, math, and really it's just division. I'll go through that math. It's actually quite fascinating. It's quite fun. We're talking. It's just like you would at a bar. It's fun. But tonight we're talking about something else entirely. Um, I'm going to pop in a chat window here so I can see chat as it's happening, uh, and put the logo right there. I can see chat. I've got a chat window over here so I can type and interact, but I really want the chat window over here so that I can kind of watch it and monitor it as it's happening. Because otherwise, if it's over here, I'm not really paying attention. But this window over here is specifically designed so that when I switch to this window, boop, I can be me with chat. Look, chat. Hi, y'all. But today, on today's Whiskey Happy Hour, we are going to talk about whether or not we're talking about the apocalypse. Old Humble Guy versus the apocalypse. We're going to chat about the apocalypse because, you know, people, they, you got your preppers, you got the survivalists, you got people who are all absolutely convinced that they are going to survive the apocalypse. And you everybody knows one of these guys. You probably know one of these guys. You may have been one of these guys. You know, you building up the skills for when the skills you need to have for when the world comes to an end. You know, you've got your you know, people who have piles of gold or gold stocks, which is even dumber. Um, anyway, let's talk about the apocalypse. Let's start with let's set a baseline. Let's talk about what the apocalypse would be, shall we? The apocalypse. Let's make the definition. Let's call the apocalypse. Let's say half the people die. Okay, I mean that would be an apocalyptic level, and in fact, it wouldn't even have to be half the people. 10%, 20% of the population. Uh, we had that in some cases in World War II. Where some countries saw 20% of their population go. That's not really apocalyptic. That's bad. That's bad, but it's not apocalyptic. We're talking apocalyptic like disruptions to daily, day to day life, day to day services, day to day operations. Disruption to day to day operations. Let's set the baseline number at half. Half the people, all the people. Now we're not talking like a Thanos snap. We're like talking half the people die. Some virus knocks out half the population. It could be, and I'm not even talking about, you know, zombies. We don't want to talk about zombies because the zombie apocalypse, there's no real specific rules for zombie apocalypses. Um, Safety Doc is telling me that our boy Bull Rush is one of those prepper survivalists, gold bug guys. I absolutely 100% would have guessed that. Yeah. Um, Still a good guy though. And just in case of the apocalypse, I want to know his address because I need to know where to get food and gold and guns. All right, but let's talk about let's set that baseline. I'm not talking about zombies. Alien invasion. You know, we got other things to worry about if aliens come. We're doomed if aliens come. We're all gonna die. Zombies, we're all gonna die. You're not gonna survive a zombie apocalypse. This is just not gonna happen. I mean, it might happen. We could talk about zombie apocalypse. Maybe later. But I'm talking about like legit population collapse type of stuff. Like you're talking environmental stuff. We're talking viral, environmental. We're talking something causes half the population to just die. Like the plague. The plague knocked out half the population in some countries. So, in some cases, more. That was a true apocalyptic event because that knocked out entire villages, knocked entire countries down to their knees, set people or set civilization back. We had another one of those happen in the 12, I think it was the 1200 BC, 1600 BC, whatever, the Bronze Age collapse. Plenty of YouTube videos about that. Maybe we should do a happy hour about that. except nobody knows what caused it. So no, we shouldn't do a happy hour about that. But that literally sets civilization back hundreds of years. Um, with the collapse of the collapse of the Roman Empire. That was another one that set civilization back. Those are apocalyptic level events where the population drops, things shrink, civilization is set back several years. So that's the kind of apocalyptic level event that I'm thinking of. And when you think of the something like that, where there's half the people, you got a lot of bodies that you got to. Let's not even talk about the logistics. Let's skip over the logistics. The logistics are tough because you got all the bodies, you got burn pits, you got fire pits, you got to dispose of the bodies, and that's just ugh. You know, I don't even want to think about that. That's tough. But let's talk about the what happens. Okay, say half the people, for whatever purpose, half the people are struck down by some. Let's go with virus, some kind of plague, some kind of virus. People get sick. We just lived through a near, well, not a full-on apocalypse, like a baby apocalypse, a baby apocalypse. Uh, yeah, we'll call it. We could call it. We just lived through that. We know what happens when 80%, 60% of the people stay home, 50% of the people stay home. Like everything grinds to a halt. Okay, so that's a good marker. We can kind of put our finger in that. Um, we'll come back to this chat in just a second. I want to get the baseline set so we can carry the conversation forward from there. Okay, so we got this light is harsh. I always forget to turn down the light. That's a lot better. Okay, so half the people die. Let's talk about whether you're in the half that lives or half that dies. Odds are, well, odds are even 50-50. You know, if you're in the half that stands. But chances are, if it's a real, true viral apocalypse or biological apocalypse of some sort, if you're over the age of, let's say, 40, you're not going to be in the group that survives. You're not going to be the odds of you being over 40 and surviving a viral biological apocalypse are much lower than the odds of you being under 40 and surviving. So let's just start from there. Will you survive the apocalypse if you're over 40? Chances are no. It's not going to happen. Just absolutely. So your first skill set that you need to have to survive the apocalypse, and I count myself among those who are over 40. The first skill set you need to have is to be under 40, probably closer to 30 than 40 for that matter. You're not going to survive. You're going to be you're going to be one of the ones that they're throwing into the fire pit. Sorry, you're doomed. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, so also let's talk about whether or not you want to survive the apocalypse if you're over 40. Like all your good years are behind you. What are you going to do? Fight and scratch and scrape and for another 15 years of harsh existence before the elements come and grab you, before the cold hand of death brings you down to the grave? Come on, you don't want to do that. You're 45, 50 years old. You just had your glory. You're going to spend the next 10 years because it's going to be a short, brutal existence after the apocalypse hits. You're going to spend the next 10 years of your life thinking, man, things are great 15 years ago. And then you're going to get an infection and you're going to, like a flea bite, you're going to get bit by a tick and you're going to die from Lyme disease. See, you don't want that shit. You don't want that shit. So let's just be practical, all right? Let's just be practical here for a moment. You're 45, 50 years old. The apocalypse comes. You see the missiles coming down from the sky. Yeah, you should probably. I don't want to tell you how to end your life. I don't want to tell you how to live your life. But those missiles are coming down. You need to get your family nice and tucked in and cozy and comfortable, and you just need to walk right out. You don't. What I'm saying, you don't want to live in an irradiated world for the last 10 years of your life. That's a tough existence, man. Think about it. But chances are, if you're over 40, you're not going to survive it anyway. So you're probably okay. Whatever this mythical thing that we're talking about is. Virus, nuclear war, shit. You know, when I was a kid, nuclear war seemed kind of real in the 80s. It was like a thing that might happen. I remember doing duck and cover drills in like 1986 when I was in elementary school. But damn, Like nuclear war is even more real now. Like some shit could go sideways. I don't even want to think about that. That's not fair. That's not cool. That's not fun. That's not fun. No nuclear war talk today. Nope, not today. No, sir. We're gonna have practical apocalypses like viruses. Because chances are we're not surviving a nuclear war. We're all gonna be dead. Yeah. So enough of that. Nah. So your viral apocalypse. And when it comes to rebuilding society and repopulating the earth, yeah, we don't want people who are over 45 anyway. We want people who are young, fit, strong people. These are the people who are going to be able to do all the work. These are the people who are going to be able to. Um, John, that is not a debatable point. We are not going to discuss that because that is false. Safety Dog says Rosler attractor meteor strike to Earth, something with let's say 10 hours. Well, you see, I think even if we have more than 10 hours notice, it's not going to matter. It's not. We've had 30 years notice with climate change, and nobody's done dick. It is now almost irreversible. It is now almost a done deal. It is now because we got to protect Exxon's profits. Why should we have Exxon pay for the pollution that they create? Why should we, make the Coke companies pay for that? And, even if we had 10 years, 20 years, 30 years notice, we could just give it all kinds of notice. If we know the apocalypse is coming, we're not going to be able to avert it. It doesn't matter. So I'm not going with anything that can be reversed. Um, and well, we could discuss the preventability and reversibility and the 400 or so people who worked diligently at every possible turn to ensure that the current apocalypse continued. But that's for another discussion. That's another day, another discussion to be had. Mr. Great Shot is here. Oh, so that's the thing. Okay, so yeah, he mentions a very good point. The young people today don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to garden. They don't know how to carpent. Carpent? Is that a word? I'm calling it a thing. They don't know how to carpent. They don't know how to fix cars, and part of that's by design because the cars are built in such a way that they can't be fixed. Um, Gardening, farming, animal husbandry, uh, metallurgy. Metallurgy isn't a basic skill, but minor basic blacksmithing. That was an apprentice level job that you put kids into. Back when we had villages that we needed blacksmiths. Um, every practical skill today is electronic based skills. And if half the population goes like that, and I don't mean like poof, they vanish. We're not Thanosing these people out. If half the population goes, over the course of a 6 or 8 month period, things are going to kind of grind down. And here's the thing, like the next wave of people that go, there's going to be another culling of another 20% or so of people. This is, practically thinking about how the apocalypse would work. So if half the people go, it's really closer to 60 to 70%. So we're going to be left with 30% of the population, which is why I'm saying that if you're over 40, you're not going to make it. The odds are not in your favor. There may be a few people who beat the odds, just like there may be a few young people who don't beat the odds. But what we're talking about is it gets down to like 30% or so of the population. We don't have electricity. We don't have fossil fuels running. And it's going to come to the point where like the civilization as we know it is going to grind to a halt. And then, and it's not going to be immediate. It's going to be, 9 to 12 months probably. But then you have young people, between 15 and 25 or 30 years old. They're going to have to learn how to garden. They're going to have to learn how to raise animals for food. They're going to have to learn how to slaughter animals for food without using YouTube. But see, here's the thing. You don't need to have those skills right off the bat. Because if 70% of the population is gone, well, grocery stores have a 6-month supply of food, But if 70% of the population is gone, suddenly that supply of food is 3 years. So, and I'm not talking about like the fruits and vegetables; those are going to go bad immediately. But the canned foods, the processed foods, all the stuff that makes us dead because it's so fucking unhealthy. That stuff, that'll be good forever. And even the wrapped fresh food, they go harvest that stuff out of the supermarkets and get that in, and that'll feed people for a good, if it's only 30% of the population, that'll feed people for a good long, what, 6 months, 8 months, long enough for people to get the first crops in the ground. Not long enough for those crops to mature and grow, but long enough for people to get the first crops in the ground. You don't need to have that skill right away. You'll get it real fast or you'll die. But you don't need to have it right away. And then the hunting, well, if 70% of the people are gone, guess what? You got a whole lot more animals that are much more brazen and much more open to coming out into, where animals are supposed to be. Population of the animals and livestock just shoots off. It's easy to hunt cows. It's real easy to hunt cows. They don't do anything. You can find a cow and shoot it pretty easy. Hunting cows is easy. It's illegal as hell, but it's easy. All right, so that's the second skill. You don't need those. That's another. You need to know how to scavenge and forage and find stuff, find food, find things. You probably need to know how to defend yourself. Probably need to know how to defend yourself. You probably need to know which end of the gun to point. And that also is another skill that comes fairly quickly. Um, Moonshine for a second grade. Hunter gatherers will do better. Hunter gatherers will do quite well. In fact, for the first probably 3 years post apocalypse, mankind will be reduced to hunter gatherers because we won't have farms. You can't have a farm from jump. You got to go find the farms. They're out there. There's plenty of farmed land out there, and if you only have 30% of the population, you can find a farm, and the farm will take care of you. But here's the catch: the farms that we have, the big industrial farms that feed the world, those farms are unicrop farms. They're not multi-crop farms. They're not farms that are intended for sustainable productivity. They're industrial farms. They're farms that require inputs, fertilizer, uh, equipment, and maintenance. Not like traditional sustainable farms that have multi crops on different fields, animals as well as plants, and all the stuff that goes together. That's the difference between industrial farms and traditional farms. And traditional farms, if you just stumble across a traditional farm, you can kind of figure out how everything works. It's still going to take you 3 years. It's going to take at least 3 years to build up a good sustainable crop on any farm, because you're the skill doesn't come immediately. You're going to screw it up when you start. It's not like rabbits. When you start raising rabbits, they pretty much take care of themselves. You put a boy rabbit with a girl rabbit and walk away, and a boy rabbit and a girl rabbit will do what boy rabbits and girl rabbits do, and they will make more rabbits. You just got to flick the lights off, turn it back on. The next thing you know, you got 8 rabbits. Do it again, you got 64 rabbits. That's all it takes. It's remarkable. They're amazing creatures. It's hard to screw that up. I mean, you can probably screw it up if you give it a couple of extra thoughts. You could screw it up fairly easy. But rabbits are a great source of meat. Great source of meat. That's a really good post-apocalyptic skill to have. Is how to convince rabbits, how to make proper music to get rabbits into the romantic. If we lost 70% of the population, if y'all haven't noticed, I have a little scratch in my throat. I went camping this weekend. Cold weather I was sleeping underneath a window in our cabin. The window was not an insulated window. Cold air was kind of blowing down, kind of coming down off the window. I got a little scratch in my throat. So there you go. Let's review chat real quick since we're here, and I have this window right here for chat. As I scroll up, you can find us on Twitter. Okay. Um, Not without YouTube. That's exactly right, John Jacobs. Without YouTube, I mean, I learned most of the things that I do that I know how to do. Well, most of the most of the things that I've learned how to do that were not innate skills that I picked up in school, I learned off of YouTube. So, and that's true. Um, and also, while I'm at it, I want to give a shout out to Safety Doc, who is working on the audio version of his book. He's got great shows. Go check him out. The Safety Doc, there's his channel, or find his channel from his name. He's great. Um, Phone for sure. Squid Apocalypse. There's the Tuna Emperor. Um, Ammo and weapons. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. You don't necessarily need to have ammo and weapons. You just need to know where to find ammo and weapons. And well, 70% of the people will be gone. There's a lot of ammo and weapons in the U.S. Uh, you'll be almost all of the stuff. You don't need to stockpile today, especially if you're over 40. You do not need to be stockpiling for post-apocalypse, because if you're over 40 and stockpiling for post-apocalypse, you're wasting money, you're wasting time, and you are basically building up a cache of things for somebody else to get, because you're not going to survive the apocalypse. And besides that, you probably don't want to. Um, because it's like I said before, it's going to be a hard, brutal existence. I mean, you look at Tom Hanks stuck on that island in Castaway. You know, when he's talking to himself, talking about escaping, talking about getting off the island, hey, he's going to die on that island. An abscess, an infected tooth, an abscess. You get a tick, a flea bite, a tick bite, a scratch on the ankle, a scratch on the leg. Some bug bites you, it gets infected. You have to, you get sepsis, you die, just like that. That's how people die in a post-apocalyptic situation. They don't die from getting trampled by rhinoceroses or by whatever. They die from like a broken bone because they can't walk, so they can't eat, so they die. It's a brutal existence, and who wants that? I mean, there's a reason we live. uh, Granted, we live in a society that for a lot of people it simply makes us sick. There's a lot of people who have to take daily meds because of mental health that is literally being done to them by the type of society we live in and the pace of society and the structures of society that are just bad and bad for you. Uh, People who have the beatus, uh, access to speeds. Oh, seeds, yeah. Um, John Jacobs wants to know how many rabbits we lost. I lost one batch of it was we lost I think it was 6 rabbits. And that's because the rabbit gave birth on the coldest night of the year. And when I went out to check on them, they were all dead, frozen to death. True story. Um, let's see here. What else we got over here? I was right in the middle of a sentence and I just kind of wandered off into something else. Um, all right, so let's talk about other post-apocalyptic skills we might need. Sewing is a very good skill, a post-apocalyptic skill that most people don't think about. Sewing is extremely useful in the post-apocalypse because sewing will. Let's see how sewing is good for stitching up wounds. Not ideal for stitching up wounds, but if you know how to use a needle and thread, you can stitch up your wounds. But you also need to uh, use antiseptic, wash, and all that other stuff. Um, but sewing it can make clothes. Uh, you need to know how to knit and you need to know how to make fabric. Making fabric is not something that is an intuitive skill. Um, you know, guys, especially guys. Oh my God, guys crack me up. They're like, I've got a gun. I got everything I need for the post-apocalypse. Like, dude, you don't know how to sew. You don't know how to make fabric. You don't know how to plant seeds. You don't know any of that shit. What are you gonna do? Go shoot a can of tomato soup? Like, come on. You gotta know how to make knives and sharpen knives and maintain cleanliness in the post and post. You got to render fat to make soap. Soap making, that is a skill you need post apocalypse. You need to know how to make soap. Doesn't matter how many animals you can. If you can't make soap, doesn't matter how many animals you kill. You got to know how to make soap. You got to know how to keep your weapons clean. You got to know how to keep your utensils clean. You got to know how to keep all that shit clean. And if you don't know how to make bullets, man, you're gonna run out of bullets eventually. What are you gonna do? You don't know how to shoot a bow. If you do know how to shoot a bow, bravo. I know how to shoot a bow. I don't know how to shoot. I don't know. I know how to shoot arrows. I don't know how to shoot arrows consistently straight. I will hit the target 6 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times, maybe. And of those 7 times, I'll come close to the bullseye, the like where I'm aiming, 2 or 3 out of 7, and maybe even hit the bullseye once. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Will you survive? Can you survive the apocalypse? Okay, so let's say immediately half the population is gone. You wake up, your neighbors are on that side are gone, the neighbors on that side are gone. You're the only one left. You got to, once you've disposed of all the logistical problems, you got to figure out how to dispose of their bodies yourself because the services for the state have already broken down. Municipal, state, country services, they've already broken down. Military is not going to come save you. There's only 30% of the military left. They've got other things to worry about. Military is not going to come save you. Waste management isn't going to come save you. Nobody's going to come save you. You got to dispose of all the trash. I hate to call it trash. You got to dispose of your neighbor's remains. Let's go that way. You get with the neighbors that are left in your neighborhood. Probably set up a pyre. Probably put them in one of the houses and burn the house and the people all at the same time. That way, everything. God, that's morbid. Ugh. Anyway, that house, you're gonna have to clear out several houses. You're likely clear out several houses. I'm thinking. I live here in the suburbs in North Houston, so I'm thinking we'll clear out several of the houses. We'll use that wood to uh, build paddocks and maybe fortify the perimeter of our neighborhood. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Uh, Set up a little defensive structure to keep animals out that you don't want in, and keep animals in that you want to keep in, and then go find those animals. Luckily, we're far enough outside the city that it's really not hard to find cattle. But then you got to figure out how to keep those cattle alive. And oddly enough, cattle do not like St. Augustine grass. So your yard is going to be quite useless. Bravo, suburban dad. You know how to mow a lawn and maintain a beautiful yard. That yard is useless. Useless in the post apocalyptic world. Like I said, you're doomed. Sorry. Um, Whiskey is very good for cleaning wounds. That is 100% true. Lard and lye. That's right. Lard and lye is exactly how you make soap. Um, Clean, cut up, and preserved meat is extremely handy. Yes, indeed. And absolutely, Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts indeed takes up very good growing space that you do not need. You don't need that kind of negativity in your garden. There's better things to grow in your garden. 100% true. Um, what is in my glass tonight? Tonight in my glass is Old Humble Special Reserve. We are enjoying the Special Reserve tonight. It is helping to settle my sore throat. You hear that? Sorry, I just want to demonstrate. I've got a sinus thing. I'll live, but see, that's another thing. Post-apocalyptic world, sinus infection, you're gonna die. It's not something you're just gonna. Well, you're not gonna die every time, but you're getting a sinus infection in the post-apocalyptic world. Oh, you're not gonna be an effective hunter. Yeah, if you go down for 2 or 3 days, I mean, you're not. You got to find food, man. If you don't already have food, if you don't have a week's worth of food already stored up, man, these things can take you out completely. Twisted knee, a twisted ankle, a busted hip, you're dead. Unless you have a tribe to help you and help you to survive, you're just not going to make it. Post-apocalyptic, well, I don't want to make a blanket statement because we live in a post-apocalyptic world. A post-apocalyptic world is what brought the mammals into existence. We live in a post several apocalypses, for that matter. Um, Several apocalypses, and some countries live in a post-apocalyptic world for that country, but not for the whole world. Yeah. Anyway, um, other skills you're going to need. What other skills are you gonna? So right away, you don't need farming right away. You're gonna need to know how to scavenge and hunt, and you're gonna need to. Here's a skill that most people do not have and do not understand that will be absolutely vital in the post-apocalyptic world: the ability to listen to their surroundings and interpret what it is that they hear in their surroundings. Most people don't know how to do that because they never shut up. They never hear quiet. They never participate in quiet. Silences make them feel uncomfortable, so they're always trying to fill the void with noise and talking and gibberish and jabbering. That is a skill, being able to move quietly, be quiet, and pay attention to your surroundings. Those three things are a skill that most people don't have today. They are too busy filling the void. They're too busy talking. They're too busy covering the silence with noise and, and and just generally not paying attention to what's going on around them. That in a post-apocalyptic world, that is an absolute fatal flaw. Uh, that's how you find out where there's supplies to be had because you look around and you see where the other animals are going. You follow them. You see, you can find you can find prepared meat, for lack of a better description, that you don't have to kill yourself by just paying attention to where the birds are. You're not going to necessarily want that unless you get there first, but I mean, you're talking post-apocalyptic survival. That's one of the things you're going to need to scavenge. First places you're going to want to scavenge, of course, are grocery stores and then supermarkets and and super centers and multi stores and stuff like that. You're going to want to strip everything clean out of Academy and Dick's and uh, what's the other one that was called the Sports Authority? I don't know if those are still around. Uh, mm, that's delicious. Um, what else you got? Uh, Good turkey hunters have it all. Oh yeah, make pure clean water is vital. Well, see, pure clean water. You see, well, okay. So here's the thing about pure clean water. Most of the water in urban areas is not clean, but that's because there's people and processes that people introduce to the environment. If you take out 70% of the people, a whole lot of water is suddenly going to be good, clean water. But yes, the ability to actually make it, to be able to filter it, filter it, uh, uh, filter out sediment, clean it with charcoal, and purify it from pathogens. That is 100% vital. A great thing that needs to be done. Uh, uh, John Jacobs has deer and turkey on his land. Deer and turkey, and interestingly enough, if you take humans out of the equation, we'd have a whole lot more boars around North America too. I wonder if you take people out of the equation, boars are already an invasive species pretty much everywhere where they're found in the wild in the United States. If you take people out of the equation, how long before boar overrun the native species and run deer and other animals out of their native environments, like completely out of their native environments. Um, and you see, here's the other thing: hunting deer is a great pastime to have. But if you take people out of the equation, if you knock the population down by 70%, you only have 30% of the people. You're not going to need to hunt deer. You just need to go hunt cows because there's plenty of cows to feed everybody. And the cows are not a sustainable population. They don't get fed, they die. Um, and in the feedlots, they're all going to die pretty quick because if they're in the feedlot and there's not any indigenous food for them, they have to be fed in the feedlots. They're not going to make it for very long. Um, we have not. I want to make this one quick comment. We're 3/4 of the way through the show. I've been watching my stream stats. We haven't dropped any frames. We haven't lost any frames to rendering. We haven't lost any frames to encoding. Our the quality of the stream. I've done some work tinkering around with the settings. The quality of the stream has been uh, top notch. I would like to give a big shout out to my engineering crew who helped make that happen. Bravo, guys. Y'all did great. Cheers. Uh, we'll talk more later. I'll buy you a drink. Um, no boar on his land. Too cold. Oh, John, that's right. John Jacobs, you're up north a ways. I forgot about that. Um, huh. So the boar wouldn't go far enough north. So the deer they would move north, I suppose. Huh. That'd be an interesting topic to explore more fully. Okay, so I guess we're getting into the final. I poured myself a second drink. I probably shouldn't have done that because we've only got about 20 minutes, 15 minutes left in the show. Post-apocalyptic world. It's been a pleasure. It really has. I appreciate you guys joining me for this chat, joining me for the happy hour, taking the time. I miss going to bars and talking to random people, random strangers. And honest to God, this is the type of stuff that we would talk about at the bars. Uh, the randomest, interesting, fun conversations with random, interesting people. I would literally pull a topic out of whatever it was that I was thinking about at work that day. Uh, I'm not gonna lie. I've had my uh, I've had gardens and I've tried to build gardens that were big enough to make enough food to feed my family. You have no idea how big a garden you need to have in order to feed a family of four. And I mean, we're talking 400, 500, close to 1,000 square feet of garden, and that's a big damn garden. And some of it is, and I'm talking for a 12-month period. We're talking wheat and or corn, some kind of grain, bunch of vegetables that you can plant and harvest and plant and harvest. A lot of these planting and harvesting seasons kind of overlap each other. Uh, fruit trees, nuts, berries. Your typical suburban backyard can handle that, but your typical suburban backyard also has multiple uses. And then you got to throw in some meat. And the only kind of meat you're going to have in your backyard is either chickens or rabbits. You're not going to have a goat. You're not going to have a cow. Uh, if you need to have dairy, if you want to have dairy, you're going to need a cow or at least a goat. You've got a whole lot of stuff that you need to think about. Uh, Muscle Shells in the house. Cheers, man. No Limits TV. Yeah, live on a Tuesday night. No Limits. Okay, so here's what's up. No Limits. Eric, what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. Let me finish this thought first. I'll come back to that. But you got to add the meat, and you got to have the meat in there because man can't live off of kale and chard and blueberries and blackberries alone. You can't. You got to have meat mixed into this, even if it's just a little bit. You don't have to have a whole lot. Like enough for a meal a month. something like that, and you can turn it into soup and stretch it out. I know vegetarians and vegans will tell you can live without meat, but really, uh, it's a great compact source of calories. You probably should have it mixed into your diet at least a little bit. Maybe not 40% of your diet, maybe not that much, but at least a little bit. Um, but in all honesty, I mean, if you really seriously take a step back and think about it, our skills and talents are better served at preventing an apocalypse rather than planning to survive the apocalypse. Because by its very definition, you're not going to survive the apocalypse. By its very definition, it's called apocalyptic for a reason. It's not uncomfortable. It's not just a bad weekend. It's apocalyptic. You're probably not going to survive it. And if you're over 40, you don't want to. Certainly, if you're over 50, what septuagenarian wants to look into the next 15 years of their life and go, "Yep, this is going to be brutal. I'm in for it. Sign me up." Marauding bands of highwaymen, not being able to go anywhere, not being able to do anything, having to fight for scraps of food. Who wants that? I don't. I'd rather prevent the apocalypse. That's a much more my talents and skills today are much more suited to preventing apocalypse from happening. And that is probably what we should be not so much on, can we make a farm? Yeah, you can make a farm. You can knock down you probably don't even have to go anywhere. Knock down the fences in your backyard. You could probably build a farm in your backyard, your neighbor's backyard. Take down a couple of houses. You have a whole acre to work on. An acre would do plenty to feed a family. You can knock down 20 houses and have 5 acres to build off of. You could probably do it. Would you want to? Oh boy, I tell you what, if you've never plowed a field, you don't want to. That is hard damn work. I'd rather be an accountant. And accounting sucks. I'd rather be a distiller. And distilling's fun. Oh, yeah. So there you go. There's that's a good conversation to have. That's a good place to end the conversation. Our skills are better served today at preventing the apocalypse than it is in rebuilding from an apocalypse. Because I'm telling you, rebuilding from an apocalypse sucks. And if you're over 40, you're not going to be included in the rebuilding of the apocalypse because they need to make babies and have babies and grow babies. And the people who are best suited for making and having and growing babies are closer to their 20s than they are to their 40s. So, post-apocalyptic world, your skill set is not what they're looking for, buddy. You're gonna fill out that application to be all like, I can shoot, I got gold, and they'll be all like, where do you have the gold? Wait here, let's go verify this. And once they verify it, you're actually, I don't even know if gold's going to matter that much in the post-apocalyptic world. I mean, who gives a shit if you've got gold? I mean, it's not really. I mean, they say it can be turned into a currency, but it's only a currency if people want to trade it as a currency, and nobody has it. So how could it? Whatever. I don't know. I don't know about that. Well, that's another topic for another conversation. Anyway, no limits. What I'm telling you. Well, I was going to tell you live on Tuesday night. Here's what's going on. So I've embarked on this quest starting back on. I guess it was February 6th. Let me look at my calendar here. It was probably February 6th when I started doing. Yeah, I started doing stuff to my channel to grow its views. I started doing some research, doing some analytics, looking in the history of the channel. My first real upload was like April 23rd, 2020. So we've gone almost 2 full years now. And I'm beginning the process of, God damn, this lighting just sucks. Knock it up one notch here. Is that the button? Somewhere there. Is that better? A little bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I'm looking at the lighting on YouTube. Anyway, um, I looked back at the stuff that works. We've done a lot of shows. Our uploads are dreadful, but the shows that work best are happy hour shows, live music shows, and behind the scenes videos, behind the scenes live shows that we do from the distillery itself. So I said to myself, self, I said, and myself said, yes, me. I'm going to do more happy hours. I'm going to do more happy hours. I'm going to do more day in the life stuff from the distillery, and I'm going to do some more music programs. And to that end, I started adding these 1 hour whiskey happy hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday's still our big 2 hour show. And we're going to add a music night on Friday night, I think. I'm still working on that plan. I'm not sure what it is yet. Working on it. And then, throw in some day in the life stuff when I remember to bring my camera with me to the distillery when I'm doing work, as opposed to when I'm here doing work. I have a whole series, twice weekly series. It started last week. Was it last week? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. We just did episode 4, I think. No, we just did episode 3 today. Episode 4 is Friday. And basically, I'm talking about the stuff that I've done, the advice that I've seen, and stuff that I've done, and how it's working, and the net result, basically, of what I've put into place since the 6th is that we are in the midst of currently our third best month ever for the channel. And by the end of this month, which is Monday next week, we may have had the best month ever for the channel. And the whole goal behind this is to basically learn how to better, better learn how to better work within the structure of the YouTube environment. How to better leverage the algorithm so that we get more views, and those views get better exposure for my guests that come on the show and the bands that come to the distillery. I've said before, and I say it again, my nonsense, me doing all my jibber jabber, I don't really give a shit. I do hope that eventually some people see that they remember the brand, they go out and buy the whiskey, but I can't sell directly off the website, so the goal is more about just exposure for the brand and exposure for our guests and exposure for the bands that come to the distillery. I really hate it when guests come on the show. We had some great interviews for our quarantine happy hour back in 2020 and 2021. 100 episodes, great interviews, great shows. Nobody watched them. Very few people watched them. And part of that is my fault because I did not know how to properly encourage YouTube to show my videos. But we're solving that problem. And I'm learning how to better use YouTube and get more views for the videos. Yeah, like I said, this is so far so good. The best month we've had ever. And when I put the metrics comparing February 2022 with February 2021 and February 2020, it is drastically better. Even February 2022 and January 2022, it is drastic improvement. And I was skeptical as to how much of an improvement it would be. But I am very happy to report that I was wrong in my skepticism. So I encourage folks to come back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we are talking about, we are doing these, it's not really a second part to, but it's an expansion of the whiskey happy hour from last Wednesday, where we talked about the origins of the flat earth theory. This is the flip side of that, of why we know the earth is round. It's all about math. Very simple math, as a matter of fact. Like third grade, no, maybe not third grade math, like middle school math. I probably said third grade math in the show last week, but it's middle school math. It's almost certainly like sixth grade math, seventh grade math. And then I don't know what we're going to talk about on Thursday, because Thursday is usually Lisa and me doing our happy hour 2.0, and Lisa is out of town in Anaheim. So I don't know what the topic will be on Thursday. Maybe I'll do a deep dive into isms. government systems and things like that. That sounds like it sucked. Uh, no, the Earth is not a plane surrounded by ice wall. Tuna. Uh, Yeah, I know. Muscle Shell gave me some very good point there, John Jacobs. Muscle Shell gave me some very good suggestions, and I employed those suggestions this week on this week's show. I cleaned up my playlists, I cleaned up my old videos, cleaned up my homepage. I've cleaned up a whole lot of stuff. I've gotten rid of old videos. I've unlisted, hidden, or deleted a bunch of the old videos that don't conform with the plan for the channel as I have it going forward. I've cleaned up the playlist, gotten rid of or hidden or delete. I think I've deleted all the playlists that weren't relevant. The only playlists that I have that aren't happy hour or a day in the life or music are playlists that are like music playlists uh, that support the other stuff that we do. Um, so yeah, and that is I'm going to talk about this uh, either this Friday or next Monday. There's like the whole pipeline, the sales pipeline. If you've ever been in sales, you know the sales pipeline. There's like the prospects, and then the interested clients, and then you qualify them all the way down to the sale. And if your hit rate is like 30% or whatever, you kind of work backwards from I want 10 sales this month. Those 10 sales, I need 30 people. Let's make it easier, 30% hit rate. I want 10 sales, I need 30 people, 90 prospects, I need 270 contacts. 270 contacts turns into 90 prospects, 90 prospects turns into 30 clients, 30 clients turns into 10 sales. See, and that's the whole pipeline thing. And with YouTube, it's views, impressions on the homepage times your click through rate turns into views, and those views eventually turn into, if you have good content, turn into subscribers. So you need to connect with your audience through, that big pipeline, the impressions, click rate, and you can improve your click rate with techniques like thumbnails and descriptions and keyword and all this stuff I talk about in our quest for 100,000 views on Monday and Friday. Check it out. It's a live stream. It's early in the morning. Early in the morning for most people. It's late in the morning for me. It's like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. But it's a good it's a good discipline for me to see the stuff that I need to do and report back, being accountable that we did it and this is the results. But I think it's also, I hope also, it's somewhat interesting to people who are interested in the question of how to grow a channel. Friday's show, 3 days from now, Friday's show, I'm going to talk about how to avoid bad advice and the best advice that I've actually seen and used from, because there's a whole lot of bad advice out there. There's a whole lot of advice. A lot of it's bad advice. Some of it's good advice. How to avoid the bad advice and the best advice that I've seen and employed, like the 7 steps to building a really good channel. And I'm like on step 4 of those 7 steps as you progress through them. Spoiler alert, the best advice comes with a question of, why are you doing this? And that helps inform the advice. I've had so many coaches that I've talked to or listened to or seen that have just come out with advice without even telling me why I have the channel, why I'm doing what I'm doing. They're real quick with the go find a niche and get monetized, and that's not necessarily the goal of every YouTuber or every person on YouTube. And in fact, every person on YouTube isn't a YouTuber, and I guess technically, if you run, you're a runner. Technically, if you're on YouTube, you're a YouTuber. But not every person who has a YouTube channel is a YouTuber first. Sometimes they're a distiller who has a YouTube channel rather than a YouTuber who owns a distillery. And that's an important distinction. And a lot of coaches don't ask that question. Um, Yes, Mr. Great Shot. I would love to show my still in operation, and we are going to be doing that. The last time I did a day in the life from the distillery, my controller box for my small still burned up, like literally blew a fuse, blew smoke and everything. So I have not yet gotten that part fixed, but I'm also in the process of getting my big boilers plugged in. So one of those two things is going to be finished first. And I've got other work that I need to do kind of around that, kind of in orbit around that. We'll get all that stuff done very soon. And there will be, I can't wait to show it off. It's going to, because it's going to be kick ass and cool. Um, Vanessa Kitty's in the house. Cheers, Vanessa. Uh, Canning tomatoes. Yeah. You see, that's the thing. When you have a garden, when you have a big garden, you learn how to do all that stuff. You eat it, you eat as much as you can, but at some point you got to can this stuff. And I still have canned vegetables from my garden from like 6 years ago, just because we never got around to eating it. And also, the stuff you get at the grocery store is pretty readily available. So it's like, good to have, but if you don't eat it on hand, it kind of goes to waste, even if you do can it. But that's a thing. Uh, Lisa Tuna thinks she. Yeah, you see, that's the that. I mean, Lisa has a life outside of Old Humble, and that is, that's her prerogative. She can go do that. It's okay. I don't mind doing. I don't mind doing the shows on my own. Uh, okay, so this that suggestion there, John Jacob, the shorts showing product. I agree. Showing shorts is a great way to generate views. But in fact, we're probably going to do a quest for 100,000 show about this. Shorts might yield views, but they don't necessarily grow the channel. And I've got a little bit of analytics that'll show that there's not a lot of crossover between the shorts and the actual channel growth. The shorts are a great way to promote the brand and the company, but not the channel. And they don't really have a whole lot of interface between the two of them. Uh, and for this particular project that I'm working on, I'm trying to build the channel part of it and not so much the shorts part of it. Because the shorts, I've noticed with the shorts that you'll get a hit with one and it'll blow up or whatever. You get a lot of views for the one, but it doesn't necessarily carry over to other videos. I don't get a lot of transitional traffic going from shorts to the long form videos. Like people are in the shorts feed and they're just scrolling and they're seeing the shorts and they laugh. They see the shorts and they laugh. And they smile and they chuckle and they move on. Uh, but there's not a lot of subscription. There's not a lot of There's not a lot of secondary action. That pipeline stays up there where they just see it and they don't actually interact with it any further. And it's part of the strategy going forward, but it's not part of the strategy right now. Uh, and I'm probably only have uh, three more installments of our quest for 100,000, and then probably just another couple of monthly report backs to show how progress is going. So we'll probably only have six regularly scheduled ones, and then after that, we'll change the focus from regular videos and getting the regular videos impressed into the homepage of YouTube, and then moving to the short strategy and trying to expound on that. Um, so there you go. Uh, there you go. Uh, there's a time and a place, and it fits into the strategy. But for this particular project that I'm working on, this particular skill set that I'm working on, it's different. And they're different videos and they're different styles, and it's different. And there's a reason I'm not doing it, specifically a reason that I'm not doing it, but uh, it will be included. I mean, it's also a really cheap way to get a whole lot of views. I mean, half of my views last year was from one short or two shorts. Uh, it's real easy to get a lot of views off the shorts if you have a decent one and it's funny and it hits right. You know, you can crap a short out and it'll get 100 views just because it's there and it has a cool song. Um, and I can do that. I can do that easy. And in fact, I will be doing that easy because shorts are a great source of uh, 30-second commercials, 60-second commercials. And I'm not above a 60-second commercial, especially if I'm getting enough views to include commercials in my shows. So there you go. But we are uh, okay, real quick. Scan back through. Grow interest. Yes, grow interest using shorts. That is the way to do it. And Mr. Great Shot has been hanging out in lots of other whiskey streams, and they support and post links to other whiskey streams. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I'm not sure if I were to describe my channel, I wouldn't describe it as a whiskey stream. We're not like the Bourbon Vault, Whiskey Vault, or Bourbon Hunter, or Bourbon Bites, or any of those guys who do, or even 21090 for that matter, who do the tastings and do the whiskeys and discuss the whiskeys and the flavors. I hardly ever do a tasting. Uh, and most of the time, well, all of the time when I do a tasting, it is my own whiskey. Because I'm not going to advertise Buffalo Trace on my channel or Jack Daniels or Jim Beam, but I thoroughly enjoy giving a bottle to someone like Bourbon Bounty or 21090 or one of my Bourbon Journey, one of these other guys, and coming on talking my whiskey with them. And then, you know, they come over here and we can just, we do whiskey fueled nonsense. We make good times. We do happy hours. We do live streams, happy hours, and chats. That's what we do. We facilitate it at your local bar and we facilitate it here on your YouTube. That's what we do. We make good times. We don't do. I'm not here to tell you what my whiskey tastes like. I'm here, or what somebody else's whiskey tastes like. I'm here to tell you. I'm here to just bullshit and have a fucking good time, and relax uh, and go buy my whiskey, you fuckers. That's what we're here for. And then you know we'll all sit around the campfire and we'll pass the bottle of whiskey around and we'll yes, that's right. They interviewed the next thing you say is they interview distilleries, and that is a great way to spread the word and expound and expand my the market not only for the channel but also for my whiskey. And we will that is that's part of the strategy. And there is a strategy. And one of the easy ways to get on somebody's show is you have a channel that has a lot of interest and views and is a quality channel in and of itself. Because, if you come to me and say, hey, I want to be on your show, and you only have 12 views or 12 subscribers and no videos, I'll be like, yeah, a lot of people want to be on my show. Thanks, Christina. True story. But there you go. And that's that. So we're done. I mean, we're officially in the post game part of the show where I do my closing monologue and wrap up all the stuff. So let's get this done. Don't forget, guys, we get up to 550 subscribers, we will give away a bottle of whiskey. Which bottle of whiskey specifically is going to be? Will it be that one? No, it's going to be that one right there, the green one. The green bottle of whiskey. We will be giving away that, well, maybe not that one in particular, but one just like it. 550 subscribers, free bottle of whiskey. We'll do a very special show. The poll has been settled. Our 500 subscriber episode is going to be something more explosive than a night in the cemetery, because the night in it's not a haunted cemetery. It's just going to be a camping trip. Nobody really wants to see a camping trip. So we're going to do something slightly more explosive for 500 subscribers, and that will be coming up sooner rather than later. I can't wait. And then our 600 subscriber special will be something like our 500 subscriber special, but we're going to announce that after the 500 subscriber special. Tune in tomorrow night for our next whiskey happy hour, which is uh, 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 the proof of why, well, not just proof, but a deep dive into how we know why the world is round. And I can't believe that even has to be said. It's 2022 for crying out loud. The fucking earth is round. Everybody knows this. And then Thursday, I don't know what our Thursday night show is going to be, but then Friday morning, we're going to do a weekly recap of our quest for 100,000 views and see where we stand as of Friday, February 26th. Is that what Friday is? February 26th? Sounds about right. Um, so, and to recap tonight's show, the Whiskey Happy Hour, will you survive an apocalypse? Chances are no. Sorry, you're doomed. But uh, the flip side of that is you probably don't want to anyway because apocalypses suck, and it will be a brutal and hard existence following the apocalypse. I mean, air conditioning's nice. I mean, I'm just saying. Um, what is it? Except Mr. Popzilla. Okay. Mr. Popzilla may survive, so we will give him props for survival. Uh, I guess. Uh, what do we got going on Friday night? Do we have anything going on Friday night? Oh, you know what we'll do Thursday night? Maybe we'll do a whiskey trivia Thursday night. Maybe we can do a whiskey trivia Thursday night because I've got a whiskey trivia game. Oh, oh, that'd be a fun show. That's a fun show, and that's a show that I can do on my own. Yeah, I'll work on that. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that concept and see if we can pull that together. Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate your support. Come by again tomorrow night and Thursday night and Friday morning and Saturday after. Just come by. Come by. Say hi. We'll have a drink. We'll talk about important stuff or not important stuff. Usually not important stuff. But anyway, be awesome to each other. Love with your entire heart. And uh, live with reckless abandon. May you all live 100 years and a day, and I but 100, so I never have to know a day of my life without you. Cheers to all you. Good night.